And we are live.
Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world of ours, and welcome to my fifth introductory scene for Darkness in Dublin. The night is indeed dark and full of terrors. Sergeant Michael O'Cullen of the Garda Síochána branch in Dublin is laying in bed, fast asleep. He'll never remember what he was dreaming, but he thinks it was a pleasant dream. When all of a sudden he's dragged back to consciousness by the sharp, ringing noise of his phone that's buzzing on the countertop beside his bed.
Jesus better be dying himself. I hate 2 a.m. And he picks up the phone.
It's later than 2 a.m. It's about 5:30. Sorry to wake you, sir, but the captain said that you better get down here. We have a situation in Temple Bar that he says you might want to look at. Needless to say, I wouldn't eat any breakfast.
Oh joy. One of those again. Any men cut with a smile on their face this time?
No, sir, we don't think it's Jack.
Understood. So he'll get up, he'll get dressed, put on his badge, put on his body armor as well, which is just a stab vest, I believe, in Ireland.
Yeah, it's just a stab vest.
And then he will hop in his little car and he'll make his way there.
Okay. Temple Bar is kind of the centre of alternate anti-culture in Dublin. It is a series of back alleys, side winding streets that link around to alternate clothing stores, nightclubs, and restaurants. Basically, it's essentially hipster / goth heaven, if you understand that. You are directed to a place just opposite the Halfpenny Bridge and directly down the road from the central bank, a large square concrete building that looms overhead of you, many stories tall. You see that there is already a police cordon that they have set up with their tape and the picket sign saying "Do not pass," etc., as there are already forensic technicians on the site attempting to do their unpleasant work. A small tent has been set up where you assume the body has been ensconced.
Well, he'll get out of his car, get his own forensic equipment out of the trunk, and walk up, flashing his badge as at the officer at the tape, waiting to be instructed by whatever liaison is going to be directing him to the body. He doesn't cross the picket line or the tape line until he is escorted across.
You'll see a man dressed in a very, I'm not going to say cheaply cut suit, but in a definitely in a very formal yet non-expensive business attire as he waits for you to come in. This is Lieutenant O'Mahony. As he looks you up and down, he says, "By God, O'Cullen, it's not Jack, but it's bad."
Well, seems like we're having all kinds of issues, not only with Jack, but now with this counterculture bullshit too.
He'll shrug and he'll say, "These things happen. Right, I better take you in. You've got a strong stomach, don't you?"
Of course.
Right, then. He'll push open the tarp of the tent entrance and allow you inside.
And he quickly goes in so as to keep cameras from being able to flash in and pick anything out.
Okay. What you see inside is a man, you would guess in his mid to late 50s, dressed in, once again, this is more expensively cut business attire. He's wearing a kind of a grey suit with a white undershirt and a black tie. He has a long flowing beard that comes down to about just above his chest that appears to be well kept and well maintained, save for the blood spattered gore that currently knots its way around it. You find him literally crucified to the wall upside down. The lab techs are currently delicately attempting to pry him loose. They are very odd nails that have been driven into his flesh. They appear to be cast iron in nature, very old, very long, about, you'd say, 7 or 8 inches in length, and they've been dug deeply into the wall of the building directly behind him. Also, you also see blood smeared all over his lower half of his face. As the lieutenant informs you, we've yet to find the fucking tongue.
He crosses himself and remembers part of his training as well as his, because he wanted to go to seminar, but his father was a police officer before him and thought that was a bad idea. So he looks at the captain and says, "Have you checked his ass?"
He'll say, the body's been given a full cavity search. There's nothing there, but, well, as far as we can tell, we'll know more when we're able to get the poor bastard down. We've been able to ascertain already. He looks up and snaps his fingers and kind of gestures for one of the uniformed officers, who walks over, looking rather decidedly green from not wanting to look at the individual. And he says, "Sir, from what we've been able to ascertain from his personal belongings, his name's Albert Mons, German national. He's some kind of lecturer at Trinity College, astronomy and astrophysics, I think."
You see the sergeant put both of his hands in his face and go, "Now we have to deal with the Germans. Wunderbar."
The lieutenant will say, "I'm more interested in what the fuck he was doing down here at 3 o'clock in the morning. Apparently he's been dead, according to rigor mortis, for about 2 hours. Mind you, this is quite a heavily populated area. You've got a number of lofts," and he gestures around, indicating where they would be directly above you, "and other people who live above their shop fronts, and yet no one heard a blessed thing until some club goers leaving a club found him. You don't get crucified to a fucking wall and people don't hear anything."
When you lose your tongue, it's very, very hard to scream.
Oh no, we're not talking about that, We're not talking about that, Sergeant. No, we're talking about driving the nails into the fucking wall.
He looks at one of the nails as it's being dug out. If you time it right with the beat of the music, you could hammer in, strike on the beat.
Grog, would you like to make me a perception investigation roll?
Oh, hell yes, I would.
Okay.
3, 6. Okay. And none of my merits will do anything.
It'll be difficulty 7.
So 6, D, N, F. What is the key again? F7. F71. Oh, that's not right. Slash 60. Alright, it is being weird.
Just copy and paste a roll from above you and add them up yourself. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, so. One. It's difficulty 7?
Yep, difficulty 7.
2 successes then.
Okay. As the nail is being wetly withdrawn from this individual's wrist, they've freed his left arm. They're currently attempting to free his right before they free his legs. You will notice that on the length of each side of the nail itself, there is inscribed on it something in a written language.
He's going to put on gloves over his hands, pull out his tweezers and tongs, and he's going to take that from them and then pull out a magnifying glass and look it over.
What languages does your character speak, if any?
Latin and Irish Gaelic.
Okay, it is neither of those.
Didn't think it was.
Nope. It is very odd looking. It doesn't appear to be using an anglicized alphabet.
Does it look like Hebrew then? Is it like not pictographs, but is it brush strokes or carve strokes?
It could be Hebrew.
My character would know. He's just guessing at this point on what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shows it over to the captain. You ever seen this language before, Captain?
Lieutenant, by the way.
Oh, Lieutenant.
He'll fix his glasses over his eyes. They're very large, kind of milk bottle affairs. As he looks up now, he says, "No, can't say that I have. No idea."
Perhaps we should get a specialist on this? Maybe get someone down from the college?
He'll say, "That's a good idea. At least it might give us a place where we can start."
And he looks at it. It's 7 or 8 inches long. It was driven through his wrists.
Mm-hmm.
Was one driven through both his feet, or were there 2 driven through each foot?
One was driven through both his feet.
And he was hung upside down.
Correct.
I don't mean to jump to conclusions, Lieutenant. However, this is a very calculated way of killing someone. As in, there are very few religions that do this. Perhaps we should look in the local church directory, see if we can't find this man.
Bear in mind, Sergeant, we don't even know what it was that killed him. As I say, we'll know more once we have the post-mortem done.
Well, it looks like a religious faction killed someone, to be quite honest, sir.
That's the last thing we fucking will need. Right, well, go outside and tell the press something. Tide them over. Don't give them anything real or important information. We don't want to panic the people. We've already got Jack up our ass. We don't want another fucking copycat killer on the loose.
Sir, might I add that this could be the start of war between Protestants and Catholics again. Because that is the religion that would see this as the greatest offense.
He'll just gesture at you to go and give the statement to the media.
Yay, okay. He's gonna take off the gloves, put them in a bag, zip it up, and hand it over as evidence before he leaves. He's gonna straighten his clothes, look at himself, make sure there's no blood on him before he walks out. He also makes sure that there's no blood on his shoes either.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to wait for outside of the ticket tape. He's going to wait for the media to come to him. He is not going to go to the media.
Once they see someone is coming to address them, a number of journalists kind of flock around, as they generally do.
Good morning, people. I'd first like to say that I am very happy that none of you have decided to attempt to break our ticket line or interfere with the investigation. I'd like to personally thank you all for this. And I will begin by saying that as of now, we do not know who this man is. And because of that, we will be keeping this close vested so as not to... Ooh, I forgot my word. So as not to cause undue stress and distress to potential family members.
Are you going to let them ask questions?
Yes, I am.
One of them, a young lady dressed, you can tell that she literally kind of was once was like you, jumped out of bed in order to come down here. Says, "Sergeant, do you believe this to be another Smiling Jack murder?"
I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that I do not believe that this is a copycat or Smiling Jack murder. It does not fit any of the criteria that we have found so far, nor does it appear to have the same motive or modus operandi.
And another man will pipe up at that point, and he says, "So that means another psychopath is stalking Dublin streets. Is that what you're saying, Sergeant?"
No, I'm not saying that. Right now, I believe that this killing has nothing to do with a psychopath or mass murderer. I believe that this generally is a one-off affair, and we will catch the killer in due time.
Another man will pipe up, "Forgive me, Sergeant, but your own officers have proved to be woefully inefficient when it's come to the capture of Smiling Jack. Why is it the public should trust you when it comes to the capture of another vicious murderer?"
I'm gonna roll dice at them now, especially after that.
Which one roll?
So that's gonna be. I'm gonna use empathy and manipulation.
If you're trying to persuade them to do something or to agree with a point, it's charisma expression.
I'm not trying to get them to agree to a point. I'm trying to play on their emotions.
It's still charisma expression.
Okay. Expression. Okay. Slightly less. And this will be at. What's your starting difficulty for this?
6. So okay. Standard diff.
So that's going to lower that.
What's going to lower
it? Regal Bearing.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And I'm pretty sure Local Hero isn't going to do anything. I solve cases, but I haven't solved this one. Unless it'll give me, like, a modifier to how they feel about me, but...
Not really.
Ugh, I'm going to spend a willpower and try that again. Ugh. That was bad. Alright, that's much better. 2, 3, 4 successes. To get this out sounding diplomatic.
So, okay, what do you say to them?
The gist of it is that I have full trust in the officers below me and above me, and I believe that we will apprehend Smiling Jack in due course. However, right now, we have to get his profile done. We have to figure out why he's able to do these things like kill here, then here. And we have to find the pattern in this mass of chaos. And once we have found that pattern, we will then apprehend him. And it shall be swift, and we shall take immediate action against him.
The media seem to be somewhat quieted by these assurances. You seem to be a man who know what you're talking about, so they will appear to be cowed for the time being.
As I see that they're all cowed, I will raise my hand. I have time for one more question. And I'll point to someone who hasn't asked me a question yet.
The last question will be... Give me a moment. Do you feel, and do you still feel that the streets of Dublin are safe to walk at night?
I feel that we are a much safer country to walk at night than many other around the world. That being said, I would hope and pray for all of you that you take the necessary precautions as you would at any other time walking late at night. Don't go to the cars alone. Don't go out drinking alone. Merely use common sense, and that should effectively and efficiently help this situation.
The crowd will nod before it starts to disperse, at which point a junior officer, once again in uniform, walks up to you and he says, "Sir, we found something unusual on the personage."
Very well. Um, and he will pull out his phone and see if any news reporter has texted him wanting any other information. Not that he leaks information, but he is the face of the operation.
No, no one yet is interested. Well, no, they not yet. Everyone's gotten what they needed for tomorrow's paper. If it proves popular, they might well come back looking for more information.
All right, well, lead me to it.
He'll say, "No, no, no, sir. It's right here." He'll, in a gloved hand, he'll hold out a business card.
He will put gloves back on and he will pick it up and look it over. What does it say?
He says, "We found it rather unusual that an elderly gentleman and a college professor, nonetheless, would have a business card for this place, and it simply says on it, 'Carpe Dominatum,' where your wildest fantasies can become realities." Very spidery font.
I am not quite up on our current counterculture. Young man, would you please enlighten me?
He kind of rubs his. You see him rub his tongue against his bottom teeth as he says, "Well, sir, it's a fetish club, sir. One of the new wave ones that just sprung up. It's been active for about 6 months, sir. Chap who runs it's rather eccentric, but appears to be a popular figure among the counterclasses."
All right, I'm gonna want a interview with him as soon as you can get his number, and I will
Right,
need
yes, sir.
a police car to take me forthwith.
Right, yeah, sir. Well, I mean, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, sir. Do you?
I mean to wake the gentleman up because this is a very, very bad situation that we need to squash.
Right. Okay, then. It's in Temple Bar here, sir. It's just about 10 minutes walk, if you prefer. It's in the pedestrian. It's in a pedestrian area, so we can't really drive it. I can escort you there if you'd like.
Yes, get your dictation pad, and you are to be seen and not heard, and I will show you how we go about things.
Yes, sir. As you say, sir.
He's gonna take the gloves off and put the card in a plastic bag and then zip that plastic bag up.
Okay. You walk through the night. As I say, it's getting quite cold before dawn, and you see lights in the darkness. It almost looks like two torches, but they're not quite torches. They're lights that have been designed to look like torches in brackets. There's a very large bouncer still stood outside the club's entrance. He's entirely, you'd almost go so far as to say he's an albino looking at him. His face is so white, his head is shaved bald, but he's about 6'5" and looks like a mountain made of meat. As he looks down at you and he says, "Name."
Sergeant Michael Cuillion.
Did you bother
Police
to ask the
force.
other person's name?
Nope. And I'm going to introduce him as a junior officer. Here
Okay.
to watch and learn.
All right. He'll say, "Your office called ahead. The boss is downstairs." He'll say as he steps back.
Thank you very much. And he'll walk inside and look to the young man. I wish the dictation to be clear and concise. Begin by stating where we are, what time we're here, as well as what the inside of this place looks like. Please begin.
Okay. You proceed to walk down a set of spiraling stairs that lead you about, you'd say, a story underground before you emerge into a dimly lit room dominated by couches. You see a number of cages hanging from the ceiling with spikes on the outside that you can assume that girls or boys will dance in during the opening hours. The club's bar itself is set up and looks like a series of entwining black roses made from the same black stone that comprises the wall. Um, there are a number of nooks and crannies that overlook the central space where there is a dance floor set up. Seated on the bar, with swinging one leg back and forth, is a man dressed in what can only be described as high Gothic Victoriana fashion, with long silver hair and a top hat.
He waits for the dictation to stop as the junior officer is writing down what this man looks like, and then he looks over at what he says or what he's written and will make a note. Please write High Gothic and Victorian era fashion.
Yes, sir.
And then he'll approach the man sitting on the bar.
He looks down at you and smiles. He's got very white teeth as he says, "So, officer, I'm led to understand that you wanted a chin wag with me."
That is very true. I have some very disturbing news and some very disturbing evidence that points towards this place.
Oh, how very entertaining. Do you go on?
Well, I have reason to believe that a recently dead member of our populace was here or had business here. And
You're going to have to be. You're going to have to be a bit more specific. You're going to have to be a bit more specific, G-man. As I say, lots of people come in and out of here.
why, yes, of course. But would you please, for the record, state if this is or is not your business card? And he hands it over in the plastic.
He'll say, "It is, rather."
All right. Now that that is out of the way, I'm going to give you a, let's say, brief description of the gentleman. And from there, I'd like to know if you've seen him. And he's going to give a brief description of the man with the beard and the hair, how he was dressed and everything, but leave out the fact that this man is dead.
Do you give his name or do you not?
I do.
Do you remember his name?
I do not. I have someone dictating all of my stuff for me.
That's fine. No, I was going to say out of character. You might want to make a note of it. His name is Albrecht Mons.
Albrecht Mond.
Mons. M-O-N-Z. Mons.
So, have you seen or met with this man recently?
Of course, that's Albrecht. I know Mr. Albrecht rather well.
Then you could answer a few questions for me, then, yes?
I'm sure that I could, officer. What is it you'd like to know?
Well, first I'd like to know his home residence, because we could not find a wallet and
Oh no, you,
things.
you did find his wallet.
Okay. Um, his home residence, business residence, as well as why he could have been downtown in some of the club areas at this time of night.
He visited me here this evening. He and I played a little game of cards. As for his home and business address, well, he's a lecturer at Trinity, isn't he? I don't know where he lives. That's
All
his
right.
business.
Could you perhaps tell me if there are any colleagues that you know of, or any of your card friends that may have seen him after he left this residence or business?
This is a club, and he will say, no, I don't think anyone would have met him as late as he left. Anything's possible, though. He came here looking for something. He didn't find it, but he looked.
Would you terribly mind tell me what he was looking for?
Gravedigger smiles very widely, and he says, information.
Ah, would this information have been dangerous to find?
He contemplates for a few moments as he says, perhaps if one was interested in having it be dangerous, anything's possible after all.
Yes, well, I'm going to leave you my business card. He takes it out of his top jacket pocket and hands it to him. If you can remember anything about this night after you have had your respite, please contact me. I'm going to be investigating this person to find out where he has been and what he was up to.
The seated figure will nod as he says, I'll give you something to go with. Sergeant? Yes, Sarge. He contemplates for a moment before he says, there's been a lot of movement of certain valuable objects. Objects that if certain people knew about, they'd be very interested in it. If I were you, I'd try the docks. Pier 41B.
He looks at the younger officer and he strikes his hand out as if to not write that down. He writes it down himself.
Very good.
Now, Pier 41B, is it? On the docks. I will look into this, and your continued support and help will be most appreciated in this endeavor.
Oh, I live to serve. Sergeant.
Thank you. And please, have a good night.
He'll kind of tip the top hat to you.
And with that, the sergeant's going to walk out and he's going to look at the younger policeman, and he goes, whatever you do, you never heard that number. Understand?
Yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir.
I don't know that I trust this man, and I think it's a wild goose chase. My gut tells me, in fact, that it is a wild goose chase. However, it would go amiss if I didn't go investigate myself. But I don't believe the police force should be in on this type of thing. After all, expensive BDSM equipment isn't something that we need to look into now, is it?
The younger man, kind of his face pales a little bit. He says, no, sir, I don't suppose it is.
Exactly. And we also don't want the force to be involved in the looking for said items. You'll learn when you get older that there's certain things that we have to take on our own before we get the Force involved in it. Because if this is just BDSM gear being transferred around the city, then we might not want to look into it. But we'll let the lieutenant decide after I have a report written up for him. Now then.
Whatever you say, sir.
Exactly. Now then, you are going to go back to the crime scene, and I want you to dictate on your way there what you thought about the man, what you thought about the bouncer, what you thought about the business attire, as well as the business itself. Be as thorough as possible. I will be looking over your report this afternoon.
Yes, sir. I'll do that, sir.
Very good. And as he walks away, he pulls out his phone and he's going to call for a taxi.
Okay. The taxi will ask, what's your destination?
41. I'm going to the pier 41B.
Right, yeah, sir. Well, all right, then. We'll be there in about 10 minutes or so. And as you wait, the taxi will arrive roughly 10 minutes from then. The sun is just starting to rise as you depart.
He's gonna pull his shades out of his pocket and put them on because he's not having a very good day. He wants to keep the sun out of his eyes for a little bit longer.
That's entirely fair. You are sped through the city out towards Hope, which is the main area where the Docklands are located. It takes about 25-30 minutes in the taxi before he disgorges you. It's about a €30 taxi, which you then pay. You're standing in front of a dockyard. You smell the sea air as it cascades all around you. This area of the docks does not appear to be in great repair. It appears to be dirty. It appears to be run down. It does not appear to have the highest quality of merchandise shipped through it, etc. But you find the warehouse that it has the appropriate markings. It currently looks like it stood empty and vacant.
Well, he pulls out his flashlight and his knife stick, or billy club, the equivalent. And he'll start looking around, using the knife stick to open things, and he's going to start making his way around the building before going inside of it.
Okay. There is nothing interesting on the outside of the building. It is just an empty. It looks, as I said, it looks as if it's fallen into great amounts of disrepair. There are broken windows. The metal gratings on the windows seems to have been rusted to the point it appears near useless. Though you do find a side door.
Noting all entrances and exits, he's going to go through the main entrance.
Okay. You step into the dimly lit warehouse space, and you're immediately hit by the smell of oil. That kind of sick industrial smell of oil and grease. You assume that they must have been using this place to store engine components or to store engine lubricants, etc. As you step inside, you see that the door is automatic, so it shuts behind you. You just hear it kind of going as it closes. And you are stood in a warehouse that appears to be empty, save for a handful of crates at the other end of the room.
Well, he's going to wrap his handkerchief around his hand and keep that next to his mouth, but also have the flashlight pointing forward.
Can you make me another perception investigation roll, please?
I sure can. With my mighty 6 die.
And then make me a perception alertness roll.
Oh, hello. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 successes on the investigation.
Cool. And the perception alertness roll is going to be a diff 9.
Ugh, okay.
Yeah.
No successes, but no botch.
Okay. You notice on the floor as you enter the building the fact that there's a lot of dust on the floor, and it looks to you like there's been something large and heavy physically dragged across the floor, as in a large box, possibly 3 or 4 meters by 4 or 5 meters, and there's a great number of footprints that have disturbed the dust on the floor. So you theorize that whatever it was that was here has been moved.
Really? I'm in a damned warehouse looking for stolen or expensive BDSM gear. Fucking beautiful.
Click, click, bang.
All right.
You feel wetness, and the world starts to become hazy. What do you do?
He pulls out the gun that the police officers would have. It's just like a snub-nosed 38, just a little pea shooter, really. And he holds it in a shaking hand. And
Your
he's looking
hands,
around.
your hands start to feel numb. It's hard for you to move them. You're so sleepy.
Knowing what he knows, he grabs the handkerchief and starts holding it as hard as he can, kind of even pushing it into the wound to pack it.
Okay. The gun slips from your fingers. You hear a clatter on the ground. Oh, I must have dropped it. A figure walks forward from where he was crouched. He was crouched under a tarpaulin and beside the crates. He's dressed all in black, and he's wearing a face mask that literally just is a white porcelain face with a single teardrop under its left eye. And he walks forward to you, and he says, in a voice that has obviously been altered. It's like, computer alterations of the voice. What I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
He just says nothing personal. As he reaches down, as he props his gun against your head and pulls the trigger.
Before he pulls the trigger, he says, "It was just business," with like this half-hearted smile.
You wake up and you see yourself suspended above your body, as if you are your body lies in a circular disc of light, and you yourself are kind of floating above it. You see your life's blood spent on the floor. You see the gaping wound in your chest and the gaping wound in your head. You don't look good, Jim.
Huh. Well, never thought I'd die searching for BDSM equipment.
There's a figure seated directly opposite you in a black chair with its fingers pented together and the sight casually leant across the back of the chair. And he says in a grasping, rasping voice that sounds like needles on a chalkboard, "So, this is the end of you in that case, Michael O'Cullen."
All gotta die sometime. As he's like looking at his body, you would be freaking out, but he's just in shock now. He's dead. He's dead, Jim.
If I was to ask you, what is your one wish before you move to the next, what would you answer me?
I'd like to string Smiling Jack between two light poles, connect him with electricity, and watch him glow and fry.
You're the second person who's made such a request recently. Amusing. As you say that, Grog, a single beam of light emerges from your chest on the ground, but you don't see it because you're looking at the seated figure. As it says, "Why is it then that the cosmos should yield to man and give you this chance?"
Because In all of my time and all of my career, through everything that I have seen, God exists and there are monsters, and we must find a way um, to transcend what we are so that we become either gods or monsters.
The light grows brighter as he says, the figure stands and points at you and says, "And what is a monster?"
He just looks up at him for a second and he goes, "Didn't you know, Charon? I am."
At which point, basically, a black ichor extends from almost faster than the eye can see, extends from the creature's hand. But you are bathed in a brilliant golden light that bats away the darkness. You might dodge the noose this day, Michael O'Cullen, but I'll have you yet, one way or another.
We seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. While we are experiencing these technical difficulties, please remember, don't drink the black ooze.
Sorry. He extends his hand towards you and he says, "I'll have you one day, Michael O'Cullen, the man who thinks he can transcend gods and monsters, the man who thinks he can stand above death. I'll have you, and you will know the folly of truth, the arrogance, and the self-pity of the damned. I swear I will not forget. I swear I will remember your face."
Remember, whatever you like, but when I am a god, I will make you eat those words and a crow pie.
In that moment, Rog, you wake up. You feel agony as your body reknits the wounds. You feel every nerve ending in your frame fire in agony, a symphony of absolute pain. However, as you stand up, as you kneel up, both bullets pop, pop out of the wounds and clatter onto the ground.
He just picks them up, puts them in a little baggie, looking at them, knowing that's his blood, knowing that this couldn't be going on, but at the same time, he just kind of flipped the finger at death. Charon, whoever it was, a Grim Reaper, and he looks up at the boxes and he goes, "Really? Really?" And then remembers, "Oh shit, I was shot," and looks around for the guy that shot him.
The guy that shot you is long gone. The sun has well appeared above the horizon. You'd guess it must be midday.
So long for such a short conversation. He's gonna get up, brush himself off, notice he's covered in blood, and go, "That's gonna be hard to explain. But let's go look at these boxes first."
There is nothing of consequence in the boxes. There's some rope. There's some rope. There's some containers of now very spoiled food. You assume that the shipping company that was due to ship them went bankrupt. There's nothing of any value here.
Oh,
Your
great.
phone does, however, start to buzz.
He picks it up.
Sorry, sir. I thought you might want to know that we've been able to translate the inscriptions on the nails.
Do go on as he starts walking out.
They're all identical, sir. So the two for the hands, and the one that had the feet nailed up. And they all say, "The sins of the father shall pass to the son."
Great.
In Hebrew, no less.
Great. Biblical word. Yeah. Great.
Not only Hebrew, though. Apparently, we had to get a Talmudic scholar in. Apparently, it's very old Hebrew.
Great. Really, really pissed off the religious fanatics.
Oh, you're right, sir. You don't sound all there, as it were.
You know, a storage room full of BDSM equipment kinda wasn't what I was expecting.
Oh, I get you, sir. Right, well, the lieutenant wants you in his office in about an hour's time for a briefing.
Alright, tell him I need to go wash up. I've stepped in something that I just don't know what it was.
No worries, sir. Right, we'll talk to you later.
Very well. And as he's walking out, he's like pulling his coat on tighter so as to hide like the white shirt underneath that's covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls for another taxi.
And with that, Grog, we will end the scene.
Thank you, watchers, for watching. Thank you, players, for playing. And remember, don't trust the black sludge.